Welcome to Al Bernstein Unplugged on Boxing. In a 40-year Hall of Fame career, Al has chronicled some of the greatest moments in boxing history. On this podcast, you get to hear him expand on those memories and talk about the current news in the sport of boxing. You'll also hear Al interview some of the biggest names in the sport. Here's Al Bernstein Unplugged.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the show. On this show, we're going to interview DannyRoman. DannyRoman, the 122-pounder who is in an important match on the September 26th pay-per-view broadcast that I'll be announcing on Showtime. That'll be coming your way. And we'll also, of course, have your questions that we answer. And in order to do that, we bring in my friend and colleague, Mr. Trip Mitchell. Trip, how are you?
I am great. And I know you don't mention that we're former teammates on one of the greatest old men basketball teams of all time.
That's right. We had lots of fun, you and I, playing basketball here in Las Vegas, and we were in all kinds of leagues together, and where we pretended to take basketball seriously and had some fun.
You know, it's funny, you think about it, guys love basketball when we get to be over 40, and I was going to say, too bad you can't do that in boxing, but what the heck? There are a lot of senior matches coming up, and maybe one coming up this fall with Tyson and Roy Jones Jr.
Yeah, that one still technically scheduled, though Roy Jones is talking about some issues that he may have with it. So we'll see. But yeah, everybody, it's almost like there's a senior boxing circuit happening. And but meantime, there's lots of boxing going on that involves the current day fighters.
Well, Ramirez escaped disaster against Postal this weekend. What were your thoughts on that fight?
Yeah, Jose Ramirez defending his title against Victor Postal, a former champion at 140 pounds. And it was a very interesting fight in which Victor Postal boxed very effectively, as his trainer Freddie Roach said he would. And Jose Ramirez, always the aggressor, did his best to make it that kind of a fight. And they both got a lot of things done in this match that were very good. And it seemed to the naked eye to be a very close fight. One judge did have it scored. It went 12 rounds. One judge did have it scored 114-114, a draw, which is where I kind of lean. Another judge had it 115-113 for Jose Ramirez. And another scorecard, which I thought was pretty wide, was 116-112 for Ramirez. So Ramirez keeps his crown, and equally as importantly for him, keeps alive his hopes of having a unification match with Josh Taylor, which is what Top Rank, his promoter, is trying to work out next. And that will be a fight that fans will really want to see. Obviously, there was some controversy generated over the decision in this match. I thought the 116-112 card on behalf of Ramirez was excessive. It's very hard for me to imagine him winning 8 rounds and Postal only winning 4 rounds in this fight. I thought something close to a draw was acceptable. The 115-113 scorecard by the one judge, you could certainly live with that, though I don't know if I'd go there. But you can make the case for that. And I think that more importantly, Jose Ramirez, who's shaking off some rust, as almost all fighters are these days because of the COVID-19 layoff, wasn't at the top of his game. And Victor Postal, who even at age 36, I knew going into that match, and I've said it on this show and elsewhere, was going to be effective. And he was effective in this fight. So it showed us 2 things. Jose Ramirez has a little bit to work on before he gets in with Josh Taylor. And Victor Postal at age 36 still has plenty left in the tank.
When you're watching a fight at home with the family, do you keep score like a baseball person will keep a book when they're watching a game?
You know, I don't. I kind of try to watch it as a fan, but with an eye toward knowing I'm going to talk about it. Sometimes I will, or I'll go back and look at the fight and rescore it. This is one where I was almost tempted to do it, but I didn't. And for the most part, I don't sit and score each round. I will do that if I'm watching the bout after maybe it's been DVR'd and I already know it was a real controversial decision and I'm coming back to view the fight. Then I'll score it each round, because I'll be curious to see what it comes out to.
Would you be, of the announcers you've worked with, would you think most of them would be great judges if they were able to switch seats?
Some of the analysts, well, of course, I'm mostly working with play-by-play announcers. I've been a play-by-play announcer working with analysts. Boxing analysts, well, here's, speaking to that, I mean, there's two elements to that question. While you're announcing a fight, I am a firm believer that no broadcaster should score a fight while he's announcing it. And I had to do it for many years, and I was pushed to do it. I finally succeeded at Showtime in convincing them to let somebody else do the scoring. And now Steve Farhood does it. And of course, he's not announcing the fight. Because I think you have two different functions, and announcing a fight doesn't necessarily lend itself to scoring it. In fact, I think it doesn't. Now, as to whether a lot of boxing play-by-play practitioners or analysts would be good judges, I think that varies from person to person. And I don't know, we'd have to see. For anyone, I think for us to judge whether they're a good judge, we'd have to see them judge 15 or 20 fights and then figure out from the body of their work.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see. So we've got some great divisions in boxing. The next question comes up: is the 122-pound weight division one of the best in boxing?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite divisions. And it's going to be highly featured on that September 26th pay-per-view card with Luis Nery against Alameda in a very important fight, championship fight. DannyRoman, who we're going to be talking to in a moment or two in his fight, and also Brandon Figueroa will be in a battle as well, who's a terrific fighter. We just had Angelo Leo winning a version of the 122-pound title, and he was supposed to be fighting Stephen Fulton Jr. Did not. That didn't materialize, but they will fight each other. And so it's an interesting division with all kinds of talented fighters. It'll sort itself out a little bit on September 26th, and then there'll be a number of other fights after that in which the division further kind of figures out who are the top dogs in it. But there's just an amazing amount of talent concentrated there.
Okay, we're going to switch gears a little bit on the next question. And because you have so many Twitter followers, a lot of them know that you're an entertainer as well. And we've got a question: have you ever sang a national anthem at an event?
I saw that one. Yeah, that was, yes. Well, no. Well, I have sung an anthem. I did sing it at one boxing match in Oklahoma once, a small, like a smaller level show. But I have sung the anthem at other sporting events more often. I did several for remember the Thunder hockey team that was here in Las Vegas?
Very much so, yeah.
Yeah, I did the anthem a couple of times for them, and another one of the other hockey teams, never for the Vegas Knights, here in our new NHL team. And I've sung it at a number of other events, but only one time at a boxing match. And I've never, though I was asked one time to do it at a bigger boxing match, I didn't, because I was announcing and they couldn't figure out a way to do the logistics of me going to do that and then sitting down to do the fight. Now, our family has been well represented in singing the national anthem at major fights. My wife and her sister, who are the Rocco sisters, they sang the anthem in a fight I actually was hosting, announcing and doing the hosting work. Vinny Pazienza and Roy Jones Jr. back in Atlantic City. Connie Rocco and her sister Kathy both sang the anthem, and if I may say so, did a wonderful job. So that was one. And my son Wes, who is a fine singer-songwriter, has done the anthem on several occasions at Showtime boxing matches, one in California and a couple in Las Vegas. So as a family, I think we're heading toward the double digits of singing the anthem at boxing matches.
Is the anthem as tough to sing as everyone says?
I don't think it's that hard. I think it's, people say that, but I think it's it has a few challenges, but I don't think it depends on what you want to do with it. Now, some people are much more capable of adding flourishes, bending notes, creating a little more excitement in it. People like my wife and my son, not like me. I'm pretty straightforward. So for me, doing a straightforward version of the anthem is doable. And I don't think people go both ways on that song. They enjoy when people embellish to a point, I think, and I think they like the straightforward version too.
Well, and then the final question, which is, I think, always when you're doing live sports, is always a concern. Have you ever come close to missing a broadcast?
Yeah, I thought that question was intriguing. There are two things that can make you miss a broadcast. One is not getting there, and that almost happened to me once very early in my career. For some reason, I was coming in the day of the show. There was a reason, and this was in Dallas, Fort Worth. I was living in Chicago at the time, and this will also show you it was very early, in the early 80s, and I was relatively new to doing the ESPN series, and I was not a world traveler at that point. And when I got up late, missed my flight, and I was mortified because I went there and I said to the ticket person, I said, please tell me there's another flight from Chicago to Dallas. And she started laughing. She said, only about 5 more today, right? So and so I got on the next plane and got there, and I got there with about 5 or 6 hours to spare. Now, there was another occasion when I was going to Russia, believe it or not, where I went on, I missed my connection, not through my own fault, but because of the flights being delayed. The day before, had to stay overnight in New York, and then the day of the fight was flying from New York to Moscow. I got there, I arrived about 5 hours before the flight. The traffic getting from there to my hotel in Moscow was outrageous. It took me almost 2 hours in the car. I finally got to the hotel room. I got dressed. I got there. I got there just in time for us to start rehearsing. So that one was a little tight. The other thing that can stop you from, as I said, from doing a broadcast is being ill. And there have been a couple occasions when I thought that was going to happen. I was doing a pay-per-view match with Michael Carbajal was fighting, and I don't remember who he was fighting, but it was in Phoenix, Arizona. And the night before the fight, I got terribly ill. I must have gotten some kind of stomach flu, and I was throwing up all night. The day of the fight, I was throwing up. I thought, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to make this. And it was only a 2-man announce crew, literally a 2-man announce crew, me and Sam Rosen. There wasn't even anyone to do interviews. They didn't have anybody else to. So there was pressure on me to make this broadcast. I was so sick. So I somehow got myself to the arena, and the ring doctor, I told everybody, I'm so sick. I'm going to do my best to get through this. They got the ring doctor, who said, well, I can fix that nausea for you. I'll give you a shot for nausea. I said, okay, great. Gives me the shot. Sure enough, it's really helping the nausea. But the thing the doctor did not tell me was, it makes you tired.
Oh.
So we're doing the fights, and I vividly remember, because Scotty Olsen, who was a good fighter, Canadian fighter, was on one of the main undercard fights. And I remember it was during that fight, all of a sudden my eyes are closing, and I'm so tired I can barely keep them open. And Sam Rosen sees this, and during the course of that fight, he's elbowing me and everything to keep me from literally falling asleep. And somehow I made it through that broadcast. And I always think about it, it's one thing to be so boring you make the listeners fall asleep. Making yourself fall asleep as a broadcaster is, that's a special accomplishment. So I almost did it that night. I don't know how I got through that show, but that was a night when I almost did not answer the call to action.
Well, one of the questions that, circling back to Russia, you literally flew to Russia from New York and did a show on the same day.
Same day,
How many
yeah.
hours was that?
It was crazy. And here's the I'm burying the lead. I flew back after the show because we had a red eye coming back. Because the show was like late afternoon. So I literally spent about 12 hours in Russia and came back. So it was like a commute to Russia to do the fight. It's pretty crazy. Anyway, so I mentioned the September 26th fight, the pay-per-view that we will have on Showtime. And one of the fights on it that is part of this featuring the 122-pound division is DannyRoman, a former champion who lost his championship just before the pandemic really hit and stopped boxing action in a very close decision loss. And he is fighting against Carlos Payano on this September 26th card in a title eliminator that will lead him to a chance to win back a version of the 122-pound title. He's a delightful young man, and here's our interview with DannyRoman. Danny, it was the beginning of the year when you fought Mirzad Akhmadaliev, and it was a terrific fight in which you put both your titles on the line, and you ended up losing a very close and tremendously fought split decision. That was obviously a tough loss for you. How did you get over that loss, both emotionally and physically?
Well, first of all, I haven't, I think my last loss, it was like 6-7 years ago before losing to
before that,
MJ.
Yeah, you hadn't lost for a long time.
Yeah, so, I went back to myself, thought about it. I was like, what went wrong? What could we have done to improve the fight, to get better? And, personally, I think it was a close fight.
You could easily have gotten the win, yeah.
I think I won the fight. So I was like, you know what? Let's get back in the gym and let's improve ourselves once again.
Yeah, and now you are engaged in, on September 26th, in a fight that will help pave the way back to a championship for you against Carlos Payano, who is a former champion, and like your previous opponent, is a left-hander.
Yes.
So in a way, you're facing some of the same kind of obstacles. Tell us a little bit about, as you've looked at him, tell us a little bit about Payano.
Well, Payano's ex-Olympian boxer from Dominican Republic. Tough guy. He only got 3 losses, so he lost with big names against a Japanese fighter, Rasheem Warren, and his last loss against Luis Nery. So he's a veteran fighter, and next champion as well. So I know I don't got an easy fight in front of me, and but we get ready for the best, like we always do. We don't take nobody lightly, and I think we'll be ready for September 26th.
Does his left-handed style present any problem to you? You, as I said, you last fought a lefty, and while it was a very close fight, left-handers do, present challenges.
Yes, every as an Orthodox, you're used to fighting right-handed. So there's not a lot of lefties, but I became a world champion against fighting a Sean Kubo, a lefty.
Right.
And so I've been fighting a couple of left-handers. I think at this point, we'll make the right adjustments. I'll see my mistakes that I make on my previous fight, and I think I got them down already.
Yeah, you're known as a great technician in the ring, and that's your strength. Most people that look at you say this is a well-schooled fighter. Do you think of yourself that way? Do you think of yourself as one of the best technical fighters in boxing?
I'm gonna leave that for the people. In my mind, I still think I got a lot to improve. So if people consider me one of the best technicians out there, it's a great honor. And I'm gonna continue improving my trade and become even one of the top ones.
Well, you're very modest. You won 2 world titles, and you fashioned a career that's terrific. So clearly, you've come a long way since your beginning in the sport. If you win this fight, which I know you expect to do against Payano, what do you think looks next for you? There are, in fact, on this card, there are 2 other super bantamweight championship matches.
Yes.
And so you might look to some of those people as potential opponents, right?
Yes. Well, this fight's a WBC title eliminator. And under that card, we got Luis Neri against Alameda, Aaron Alameda.
Yep.
Then we got Figueroa as well. That he's a WBA regular champion.
I'm Vasquez.
Yeah, so I mean, it could be a potential fighters in the future. But it was up to me, I still got unfinished business with MJ.
Yeah, you'd like to fight Akhmadaliev again?
Yes, sir.
But whatever you do, though, you want your next fight to be for a world title. Is that true?
Yes. We're already up there, and I think I'm ready. Ready to get those titles back as well.
Well, and you're 30 years of age, so you're not certainly at the end of your career, but you're at a point where you don't want to waste time getting another title shot, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and when you look at the division, the 122-pound division is fantastic. I mean, I think it's one of the best in boxing. How do you feel about your division that you're in and all the great competition and potential big fights that you can have?
Oh, I mean, we got great names at 122, super bantamweight. A lot of great names, a lot of upcoming fighters as well. Trying to get that world title too. And we got fighters coming up from bantamweight to super bantamweight, so it's more names out there. So it's only getting hotter. It's only gonna get good as well too.
You've always been a guy that had to kind of prove yourself. You even at one point early in your career, you lost your promoter because you lost the fight, and then you had to kind of win them back to get them back. And then, of course, you showed you were more than worthy. Do you always kind of feel, even though people recognize your abilities, but in some ways, do you always feel like you're kind of proving yourself?
Oh, I always go with that mentality. What? I gotta prove myself. That brings the best out of me. Because that pushes me even to greater stuff. That what? I gotta prove myself. I gotta show everybody who I am. And at the beginning of my career, yes, my promoter, I was left by my promoter. All of that stuff made me stronger. And the losses as well made me stronger, and it made me into a better fighter. And I think all of this was happening to help me to become who I am today. And I'll be back again on September 26th. I'll prove everybody again why I was a champion too.
The card you're fighting on the 26th is terrific, and we mentioned the other super bantamweight matches, which are very, very good. Neri against Alameda and Brandon Figueroa against Vasquez. But in the main fights, we have the 2 Charlo brothers,
yes.
Jamal Charlo against Derevyanchenko, and also Jermell Charlo against Jason Rosario. Tell me what you think of those 2 matches. Those are pretty entertaining and interesting matches, aren't they?
Yes. You can say the main event. Both of the Charlos, they're always trying to take the guy's head off. So it'll be an entertaining fight. They're going against tough opponents too. So it's gonna be a hell of a night, a great night. But like always, we're gonna make it our night.
So you'd like to kind of steal the show, huh?
Yes. I try to get the best out of me.
Do you think that it is a title eliminator fight. So in theory, no matter how you win, it should take you to a world title matchup. But do you think it's important to win impressively?
Yes, yes, yes. I believe so. Like that, so you can make a statement. You know, I'm here. I mean, I'm here, and I'm going for the title next.
All right, Danny, we appreciate you taking the time to visit with us, and good luck to you on September 26th and moving forward as well.
Thank you, Mr. Albertstein.
Take care.
Have a good one.
Perfect. That was great. Thank you, Danny. Good to see you again.
Nice
And
seeing
I
you
can't
too.
wait.
It's been
I'll be
a
there.
couple
We'll be
years.
doing all the fighter interviews and everything. And I wish you the best. I'll tell you what's nice. You have so many good fights potentially in that. I think that weight division, your weight division, is the best in boxing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, you guys got so many good fighters in there. And you know, there's going to be a lot of big fights. And, you know, it's great that they're kind of featuring that whole division on the pay-per-view.
It's great. It gives well, it's given a great name too for the super bantamweights, the upcoming fighters too, and we're getting more exposure. Because usually it was you could say from the welterweights going up to the heavyweights, they got most of the exposure. So now like you see that the super bantamweight and the low classes are getting more exposure as well. So it's good. It's good for us.
Yeah,
People will get to know us. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Hey, Danny, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you, Mr. Al. I'll see you
soon. I'll see you on around the 26th. Well, I'll see you on Zoom probably. I probably won't see you in person because we'll do all our fighter meetings by Zoom these days, right?
Okay. So there's no press conference, right?
Well, I don't know. There'll be something. Probably, I'm going to say they'll probably do I don't know. I don't deal with that part of it, but I know we'll do our fighter meetings with you over Zoom, but they'll probably do I'm going to say they'll probably do the press conference over Zoom too. I don't know. That's a good question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Well, with this pandemic going on,
life is different now.
Huh? Yes, sir.
All right. Hey, take care of yourself.
And thank you, Mr. Al.
All right. Bye. Take care. So DannyRoman, hoping that he can win on September 26th and then get a chance to fight for the world title again. We are excited. Well, we're excited about two things. Number one, we're excited that next week we have Kevin Cunningham as our guest. He is the trainer of Erickson Lubin, who's going to be on that September 19th card that we will have on Showtime, taking on Tyrell Gachet in a very good 154-pound match. We are even more excited that this show, Al Bernstein Unplugged, is now a television show and has already debuted on many of the outlets that it will be showing on. And Trip, our TV show is reaching 183 million homes.
This is really amazing. Al, we first talked to you about doing the show, the podcast in March, and then we go, you know what? Let's video it. We'll put it on YouTube. And we reached out to a mutual friend of ours, Kelly Kantz, and she had tremendous success reaching out to networks around the world, for that matter, and people want to see this show. So I couldn't be more excited.
Yeah, we have been putting together TV shows, and as I said, the first one airing this week. We're on a number of different outlets. For those of you watching in Canada, we're on the Fight Network, and that also is here in the United States. U2 America, 11 Sports, AMG TV, many outlets, the Action Channel, the Family Channel. So we're in a lot of different outlets where hopefully everybody can reach us. And we're not done yet because we're going to be adding more outlets. Also the CW stations in the Caribbean where there's a large contingent of boxing fans. So very excited about it. It's a chance for us to put this product on television in a shorter form as a half-hour show and add things. The next show that's going to be airing on TV is going to be a very special preview to that September 26th pay-per-view card. So on that one, we're going to have a lot of extra features and segments that I think you'll get a kick out of. So we've expanded our horizons to television as well. Well, we're so glad that you joined us on this podcast, and our next one, please join us again. And on that one, again, we'll have Kevin Cunningham, the fine trainer, boxing trainer who I've known for many, many years and is now training Erickson Lubin. And he is a engaging and interesting man. Thanks to Tripp for his help. Thanks to Lee for his help in producing this show. And we'll see you next time.